Recently, I had the enormous privilege of attending a conference with 15 young people from all over the world in Hiroshima, a city devastated by the atomic bomb 74 years ago. We were there to exchange campaigning ideas with other young activists. We were there to learn about the terrible humanitarian threat nuclear weapons still pose today. But most importantly, we were there to listen, to meet with survivors, to hear the stories of people for whom August the 6th, 1945 is not just an historical event, but a reality that continues to shape their lives. Lee Jong-kun was a teenager the day his city was destroyed. Now 91, he greeted us with the most infectious smile. And then he took us back to that fateful day, arguing with his mother in the morning, passing the hypercenter just 10 minutes before the bomb was dropped, suffering severe burns and having black oil rubbed into his wounds. He depicted a scene of devastation that was utterly harrowing. But he became most emotional when talking about his experiences as a person of Korean descent growing up in Japan. He recalled the bullying he faced from classmates and teachers. He recalled the discrimination he experienced applying for work. Walking home from school one day, he was urinated on by a man passing by. All of this left me thinking about the nature of the peace we seek. The reimagining of an international order maintained for too long by mutual vulnerability, by fear, by broken relationships. Lasting peace is within our grasp if only we're willing to be gracious, to cooperate, to remember the inherent dignity of every single person. As Christians, we have a particular calling to strive for peace and a particular role to play, because we know something of the great joy of being at peace with God, and how we long to see the peace of the kingdom of God reigning right here, right now. But Mr. Lee's remarks reminded me that this vision still feels very distant indeed. In a country where people of Korean descent still face barriers today, he said he simply wanted to live his final days in peace. Those sentiments were echoed at the peace ceremony, which is held every year to mark the moment when the bomb was dropped. The Prime Minister, the Governor of the region and the Mayor of the city all spoke, but the most moving speeches were delivered by 2 6th grade students. They said that sometimes we need to say thank you, to say I'm sorry. Sometimes it takes children to remind us of simple yet profound truths. We know that there's a redemptive quality in the moments when we express gratitude, when we overlook the wrongs committed against us, when we apologize for what we have done or for not acting as we ought to have done. That as we do so, we unlock something of the divine in ourselves and in one another. Because when Jesus says, "Blessed are the peacemakers," we know that this is meant to cover every area of our lives, every square inch of our world. Fundamentally, the behaviour of nation states, with their desire for power, their insecurities, their strategic concerns, that's only a broader reflection of us. States are aggressive because we as people are all too willing to choose hollow power over peace, to see the worst in one another rather than the common humanity that comes from being made in God's image, known and loved more than we can ever begin to grasp. And so the change we seek begins first with us. It begins as we pursue peace not as an abstract concept, but as a series of active choices in our day-to-day lives. It starts with our attitudes and actions towards those who dislike us, ignore us, as well as the people we're often tempted to dislike, tempted to overlook. The pursuit of peace is hard, but we undertake it with great hope, because conflict is not the end of the story. For Jesus did not overcome the world through force, but by walking the way of peace, by humbling himself, by emptying himself, by rising again to show us that whatever happens, peace and reconciliation will always have the final word.